Good evening, Siddharthi. How are you? How was the weekend? Siddharthi, can you hear me? Siddharthi, can you hear? Am I audible to you? Siddharthi, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Siddharthi, can you hear me? Siddharthi, can you hear me? Are you there? Siddharthi, can you hear me? Are you there? Can you hear me? Say yes or no. If you can hear me, we can start. Siddharthi? Shiji Sunny, good evening. Can you hear me? Shiji, can you hear me? Okay. So let us start. So today the class is of business law, and the topic which we are going to cover today is international law, international business law. You know, international business law is nothing but it is just the domestic law which applies to any country, but it is something which is on an international forum. The international forum can be a formal body as GATT, or you might have heard names of some international bodies which work for the welfare of trade, or maybe in the health sector in different countries like UNESCO, UNICEF, WHO, WTO. International Monetary Fund, GATT, IMF, all these are institutions or setups which are there for the purpose of international clientage. They cater to each and every country. They are like common platform. All the countries come on this platform. They decide and discuss issues among themselves, and then they make certain agreements, and then these agreements are signed and followed amongst the member nations. Shizi, can you hear? Did you get this? Shizi? Okay. And what about Sadatu? He has just logged in and he's out now. He's not there. He's nowhere to be seen. Okay, Shizi. So we'll just proceed forward. So what are the outlines? First is the history. Means these are the things which are there in this PPT. Sources, international organization and agreements, resolving international disputes and issues on competition law and policy. So what is international trade law? It is something which deals with the rules and regulations that are required for carrying out the international trade relations between different countries. Now, what is the purpose of international trade? Why do we indulge in international trade? Shizi, why do we indulge in international trade? What is the need for international trade? Shizi, I'm waiting for the answer. Did you drop the message to all your friends that they have to be present for every class? Otherwise, they'll be marked absent in their exam during their assessment. They'll be marked absent. I hope this message has been given to every friend of yours. Shizi, you are there? Hello? Shizi, you can hear me? Okay. Alright. So let us just start. You can hear me now? Fine. So international, I asked one question. Why do we, what is the need for international trade? Why do we go for international trading? We can trade in the domestic boundaries only. What is the purpose of international trade? Why do we go for international trade? That answer I need. Shizi? Sadatu Usman, are you present in the class? But no response from you since long time. I asked a question, why do we do international trading? What is the need for international trade? Globalization. Sadatu, please pay attention. Ask someone else to take care of other things. You be focused on the class. Okay, due to globalization, Shizi says that yes, international trade is very much an outcome of globalization of business, but we can say that globalization is also one effect of international trade. We indulge in international trade because different countries have different needs. Nations can reach agreements and goals without dispute. Okay, for this purpose we have different organizations like IMF, International Monetary Fund, or GATT, or different, there are many other forums. But the purpose of these forums is to help UNO. Yes, UNO is also one of those. The purpose of these forums is to bring like consensus amongst the nations as far as the trading relation goes. So since we need to trade outside the boundaries of a country, we need to enter into international agreements as well. Okay, so and these rules are applicable equally for private companies and also for the public companies which carry out international trade relations. So the modern laws or the international trade is rooted in the law of merchants on land and the law of seas. Okay, same means the laws which are available, which were applicable in the olden days to the sea trading. Same laws are applicable to international trade also. And if we have to define it, we can say it is a practice that helps facilitate the movement of goods and technology across borders. Import-export laws, trade laws and tax laws are involved, many of which are derived from treaties and national statutes. Yes, basically nations enter into treaty. They make an agreement amongst themselves that they are going to do this, they are going to do that, and then that takes the form of a law when it comes to international trading. So what is WTO? WTO is the World Trade Organization and it is the leading global international organization and it deals in the rules of trade between the nations. So at its heart are the WTO agreements negotiated and signed by the bulk of the world's trading nations and ratified in their parliament. Yes, like suppose in the past week, Prime Minister of China, he visited India. He visited India and so India and China entered into many agreements, many trade relations, many trade agreements. So who devised those trade agreements? Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. Did he sat and decide what is to be done, what is not to be done? Or who decided those issues? Shizzy Sadatu. Shizzy and Sadatu, can you hear me? I'll just repeat my question. This week only, Indian Prime Minister was visited by Chinese President rather, Mr. Xi Jinping. So India and the outcome of this visit was that India and China entered into many international agreements. They entered into many trade agreements. Now who framed the rules and regulations for these trade agreements? It was Prime Minister Narendra Modi or it was President of China? Who framed the rules and regulations? Can you tell me that? Modi. Shizzy says Modi. Shazatu, what do you have to say? Shazatu is nowhere to be seen and heard. He is busy with other courts. Shizzy, but your answer is not correct. It was not Modi who decided. It is actually this organization, WTO. Yes, both the nations will have to reach an agreement, Sadatu. And who brings them on the common platform? It's an organization like WTO, which brings them on the common platform. Earlier, WTO was known as GATT, General Agreement on Trades and Tariffs. That was the full form of GATT. I'll just write it over here. It was GATT, General Agreement of Trade and Tariff. But now this GATT has been replaced by WTO. Now the new name for GATT is, yes Adapin, very much right. So this is what the role of WTO is. When the nations are dealing with each other, they are trading with each other, it has to bring them at consensus. So what we can say, it has got its headquarters in Geneva. It was formed on this date. 153 countries were member of it in 2008. Now this is 2014. So many must have joined. And the functions are following. It's a very theoretical thing. So I'm just going ahead. If you need to ask anything in this, you can ask. administering WTO trade agreements, forum for trade negotiations. Point 3, handling trade disputes. 4, monitoring national trade policies. 5, technical assistance and training for developing countries. And 6, cooperation with other international organizations. Okay? Shizi and Sadatu, is it fine? So WTO replaces GATT, and these are the details. GATT operated between this time period, and Marrakesh Agreement establishing the WTO. Marrakesh Agreement established WTO. Means this was the name of the meeting that resulted in the formation of WTO. So these were the main points in it. Now let's go to the next. Now you can see WTO member countries. All those which are green, they are all the members of GATT or WTO. And those which are grey, they are not the members. So Datu, spell please. What I need to spell? Can you just clarify? Sadatu, what do I need to spell? Marrakesh or something. It's Marrakesh. Marrakesh Agreement. This one. Okay. So these are the general principles. We don't need to go in detail for this. And all but plurilateral agreements are mandatory for all WTO members. All agreements are compulsory. So that you can't see the visual. Actually, you are using a tab, I think. That is why you are having these issues. I'll just spell that word for you. That was Marrakesh Agreement. Okay. So all the agreements which are entered are compulsory for all the nations except plurilateral agreements. What are plurilateral agreements? Plurilateral agreements include things like government contracts, the contracts which are entered between the governments of the country, or for like civil aircraft, for meat, for dairy products, and certain other things. Those are plurilateral agreements, and they are out of the scope of WTO members unless and until it's a agreement between those two countries which are trading. And it's an international organization, and voting in theory may be by 2/3 vote. And in practice, all decisions are by consensus. Like we say that if a point has been raised and 2/3 of the members agree to it, then it will become a law. But normally what happens is everybody agrees to the point and then it becomes a law. So decisions are normally with consensus. What are the principles for GATT? First is all but plurilateral agreements are mandatory. Shizi, are you following? So Datu, can you see now? No. It's because of that tab which you are using. You need to use a laptop or a PC for this. What you can do is you can log out and log in again. That may help. Yes. Okay, Shivi. So, WTO rules permit any member who wishes to negotiate bilateral agreement with prospective members. Bilateral means involving just two all these brands are available in India also. And it's dealing with all these countries: US, Japan, Hong Kong, China, Germany, Holland, Singapore, South Korea. These are the trading partners of Philippines. Now, what are the major commodities which Philippines exports? Because every country is not capable of exporting every commodity. So, in that case, it has to make a choice. So, these are the major exports of Philippines: transport equipment, garments, fruits, coconut oil, petroleum products, copper products, electronic products. What is the importance of international trade? It provides goods and services. That's a very simple thing. It provides employment. It creates job in the country. International trade also motivates the workers to produce the goods or services better. Since there is competition, there is a feeling of competition. They know that their good is going to go to other countries and people are going to use it there. So they have this thing in mind that we have to produce the best. And moreover, if they are not going to perform well, then they will be thrown out of their job. So that creates a fear in their mind and they really work hard. And it dictates the cost of goods and services, like when ample of good is available. So the customer is benefited. They can dictate their prices to the seller. Otherwise, sellers are going to just make money by charging extra. And this is because of the supply and demand factor. Then it also paves the way for globalization. Globalization is the integration of economies and cultures through a global network of political ideas, through communication, transportation and trade. Okay? Shizi? Sadatu? Globalization is the integration of the economies and cultures of different countries. Okay? Sadatu? Did you get it? Now, trade can be domestic and international. Very simple thing. Domestic is when it is for the local consumption, when you exchange goods and services for local consumption. And it also includes the marketing of different goods and services to various parts of the country. Means marketing is also a part of domestic trade. Now, movement. How the goods move up? Goods move up with the help of middlemen. So that is no problem. So rounding up and movement of products within the country are made possible by them, the middlemen. Middlemen, who are middlemen? Can you name some of them? So Datu and Shizi, can you identify some of the middlemen in the chain of distribution? Some of what? Some of the middlemen. Middlemen. Shizi? Some middlemen. Agents. Okay. So Datu, international trade. Yes. They are the same. Either you talk about international or you talk about national. It's the same. supermarkets. Okay, they are middlemen, exactly. Then they are also wholesalers, retailers, brokers, agencies, commission agents, which act as the middlemen. So their job is they connect the producers and the consumers of a country. Wholesalers, retailers, brokers, jobbers, they are those who buy products in bulk or large quantities which they sell afterwards. Okay. And retailers are those who sell directly to the consumer, like supermarkets. They are retailers for us. Where is this fellow, Shri Sunny? Where has he gone? He's offline. I have to show a video, but he is nowhere to be seen. Means middleman has got advantage also and disadvantage also. The advantage is that they are like, with them we are able to get goods easily. They are manufactured at one place and they are delivered at a far off place. So it is because of the middleman, like from the factory, it goes to the wholesalers, to the agencies, from agencies to the wholesalers, from wholesalers to retailers, from retailers to the consumers. So it's a big chain. And but the reason is that everybody wants profit, and even if we add just 2 to 3% to it, then the profits which these men are taking really go up. Yes, Javed, you are too late. Just 20 minutes are left in this class. You are late by 40 minutes. Can you tell me why? As has been told, you have to be very punctual. You have to be really present before every class, and your attendance will be marked. You will be marked negative for your absence. So be very careful next time. This is a strict order from IIMTS, and they might be sending you some circulars regarding this. Yeah, you need to be on time and you need to be very regular for the class. So we are talking about international trade. Right now we are discussing what are middlemen, what are their advantages and what are their disadvantages. Alright, basically this class is on international law, but why international law exists? Because international trade exists. Now what are the ins and outs of international trade that we are discussing? Okay, Mohammed? So if we compare domestic trade and international trade, the first thing which comes to mind is the mobility in the factors of production. Mobility means changeability. How the factors of production? Can you name the factors of production, Sadatu? Can you tell something about factors of production? Land, labor, capital, okay, and also entrepreneur. So if we talk about domestic trade, in domestic trade, the factors of production are very variable. They can, yes, entrepreneurship. They can be changed. They are not restricted. But in international trade, they are pretty restricted, the factors of production. Then movement of goods. In domestic trade, it is very easy to move goods. Like they can be loaded in a truck and they can be moved from one corner to other corner of the country. But for international trade, it's a little complicated. The procedure is complicated. You need to put them in the ship or either in through airways. You have to send them to the other country. But in doing that, lots of formalities are involved. There are tariffs, quotas, embargo, lots of things are there. Shizi, why did you go offline? Okay. the next is currency, means domestic trade, it is the same, so it's very easy to trade. But in international, since the currency of the two countries is different, the trading becomes very difficult. Then markets, for domestic trade, the markets are limited because every place has got a limited number of people and they are our prospective consumers. So the market is limited. But international is broader. If our good is not selling in Pakistan, we may sell it in Dubai. If it's not selling in Dubai, we may send it in Nigeria. So this is how the market expands. Then language and cultural barriers. It's very much there in international trade. But in domestic trade, language and cultural barriers are not there because people of the same culture and same country live together. Now, reasons for international trade. First is specialization. As we know, the word specialization means when you hold certain ability in doing something, some special ability. So it's because some nations specialize in manufacturing a particular product. This need for international trade arises. And if we talk about international trade, in specialization we mean a nation produces a certain product with cheaper cost. That is why it is specializing. Suppose if we talk about Pepsi and Cola. Now PepsiCo is a company owned by which country? Sadatu, Muhammad and Shiji, PepsiCo. Who is the original owner of it? Sadatu, Usman, Muhammad, Javed, Shiji Sani. Sadatu doesn't know. Muhammad and Shiji, who is the owner of PepsiCo? Which nation? Okay, you don't know. Shiji, you know the answer? US, yes, exactly, US. United States is the owner of PepsiCo, and it's like PepsiCo. It specializes in the manufacturing of Pepsi and Cola, and just look at its market. Pepsi and Cola is the most popular drink in any country, and it is said that the cost of manufacturing Pepsi and Cola, one bottle, small bottle, is just 30 to 40 paisa. Okay, the manufacturing cost is just 40-50 paisa. If I talk in terms of Indian currency, it's 50 paisa. And after packing and all, packing it in the bottle and putting the seal, then the cost comes to 1.5 to 2 rupees. But what is its market rate? If I talk about a 100 ml bottle, it is sold for 10 rupees in India. Now, why is it 8 rupees? What is that 8 rupees for? That 8 rupees is for advertising and promotion and for the channels of distribution. The Pepsi is manufactured in America and it's coming to India. So that it's coming to Pakistan, coming to UAE. So the chain is very big, and more the people involved in the chain of distribution, more will be the cost of product. So US is specializing in the manufacture of Pepsi, and it is having ample of profits due to it. And excess production can be used to export to other countries, and this is now it is in all countries. Yes, it's available in all countries, and now many countries have started manufacturing in their own parts. Now the trend has changed. Now, one important point is the international trade is also governed by two important things. First is the principle of comparative advantage, and one is the principle of absolute advantage. Now, what are these two things? Anyone has any idea about these? These are two theories of economics: principle of comparative advantage and absolute advantage. Sadatu, Muhammad, Shiji, any idea about this? Have you heard of this comparative advantage, absolute advantage? Anyone? Sadatu, Muhammad, Shizi. Okay, Muhammad hasn't heard. Sadatu says comparative has to do when a good has capitation or rivals. And that has to do with monopoly. Okay, yes. These are, you can say, like existence of competitors and monopoly. These are two factors these are two factors which result in comparative and absolute advantage. Comparative advantage is when you compare, like India as compared to China is very good in manufacturing rice. It's having comparative advantage in the manufacture of rice. So that's comparative advantage. Then absolute is when there is no like rival, and India has got absolute advantage in the, China has got absolute advantage in the manufacture of mobile. Nokia, the largest selling brand in the world, it is a China-based mobile company. Okay, so that's an example of absolute advantage. Okay, now we'll discuss principles of comparative advantage and absolute, and then we'll see a video on this. Okay, fine. So what does the principle of comparative advantage say? If we discuss it in simple terms, it means that the countries will benefit by concentrating on the production of those goods in which they have a relative advantage. Now what is relative advantage? When the product is more advantageous to the customers than the competing brands. Like Pepsi is selling more than Coca-Cola. Pepsi is selling more than Thumbs Up or Sprite. So that is, Pepsi is having a relative advantage over Thumbs Up and Sprite. So that is a principle of comparative advantage. Now absolute is, sometimes a country finds it cheaper to acquire imports than produce it. The cost of production might be cheaper in other countries, that may be due to their difference in climate, labor force or capital. For example, Nokia Mobile. Nokia Mobile is manufactured in China, and all different countries of the world are importing it in their country. All the nations are importing it because the cost of production of that mobile is cheaper in China, and other nations are just importing it and finding it better to import, because if they are going to set the factory in their own country, arrange for labor, capital, everything, it's going to be an expensive affair. But getting it from China is an easier option. That's absolute advantage. China is having absolute advantage in the manufacture of Nokia. Now what are the disadvantages of this? International trade first can be buyer insolvency. Suppose the buyer goes insolvent, then how are we going to get our money? How we are going to trace them? Then non-acceptable. If the goods are not accepted as per the specifications, then the goods will be rejected and it will be a waste of money. Credit risk. Yes, there is always a risk of credit. I have sent my goods to a person living in UAE and his name is Arif. Now suppose I have sent my goods on credit. If Arif goes bankrupt, then what happens? If he runs away with my money, he doesn't pay to me, I may just lose my money. There is always a risk of losing the money. Now intervention means government intervention. Government interference is there in the international trade. Then political risk. If a country goes politically unstable, then trading with that nation will be adversely affected. There will be wide fluctuations in the prices and all. So that's going to affect the volume of trade also. Then war and uncontrollable events. This is, as we know. Now what are the programs and solution to this? Protectionism. This is the policy, means by using tariffs and quotas, the countries are protected. suppose I want to increase my trade relations with US, then what India will do, they will just relax the tariffs and quotas on the goods which are being brought from US. So importers will be encouraged and they are going to import more and more goods. And as they will import more and more goods, our trade relations with China America will be good. Now I don't want to continue my trade with Russia. Then tariffs and quotas may be increased. So importing from those countries will become costlier, and then people will be discouraged to import. Okay? This is how tariffs and quotas can be used as a tool to control international trade. Fine? Sidhartu, Muhammad and Shiji. Yes, tariffs. I told you that. That's just a description of that. Now, kinds of tariffs: revenue tariff, protective tariff. This we don't need to discuss too much in detail. Now, I'll take you to one video. This video, can you all see a media player on your screen? You have to just wait. Just 1 minute. Video is not playing. 1 minute. One minute. I'm just checking why is it not playing. One minute.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting lecture for.
Can you see now? Hello? So that you cannot see? Okay, now can you see? It can't play on iPad. Javed can see. Shizi, you can see? Sadatu, can you see now? Okay, I'll give you the link. Just wait. I'll just, yes, you have the link now. So now this is like why international trading takes place. International trading takes place because of the what are the advantages of it? Increased consumer choice and satisfaction. Then there is you get better options. Okay.
Aviation, and we have machinery and equipment. We have lots of useful goods we can really use to our advantage. So do we not have everything? Can we not provide for every single citizen in Canada? Well, the answer is yes, but so does the States, so does Japan, so does Great Britain, the United Kingdom, France, and Mexico, and Germany, and China, and even the Netherlands.
We'll be discussing that only. The first part is just introductory, that why do we trade?
Why do we trade with all of these countries if they have what we have as we are? Well, the answer is quite simple. Let's take a look now. So it all boils down to opportunity cost. What do you give up when you partake in a certain action? So if Canada is going to produce all of these goods, what are they giving up? For yourselves, take for instance you sitting at home watching this lecture video. What else could you be doing? Maybe you could be working. Instead you wanted to really sit down and watch this lecture video. Maybe you could be out socializing with friends, but instead you are sitting here watching this lecture video. There is a cost to watching this video, and this is your opportunity cost. When it comes to trade, this is exactly what countries try to figure out. What is the opportunity cost in terms of what is lost in order to produce the goods that they produce?
As you can see, the value of what is foregone or what we get instead, that is opportunity cost. Now what is absolute advantage? The ability of one country to use its resources to make a product or services more efficiently than other countries. Now in this example, two nations are involved. One is Canada and the other is Japan. So Canada and Japan, they are having trade relations, and the trade relations are one is good at manufacturing one thing, the other is good at manufacturing other thing, and they are doing that because they are having advantage, absolute as well as comparative in manufacturing that. Okay, now you can see
computers, and in a given year, let's say they can make 20 automobiles or 100 computers. That's all they can make.
It can either manufacture 20 cars or 100 computers. The investment will be the same. Then the other nation is Japan. So Japan can manufacture 10 cars or 200 computers. So they both are into trade. So Ratu, you cannot connect to the link. Can you see the video? Can you see the screen now? Just a second. Now can you see, Sadatu? No. There is some problem because of that tab, because others are able to see it. You just follow, okay?
Explanation of absolute advantage, we're going to use these numbers. If you want, you can add millions onto that, but we're going to keep it simple. So automobiles or computers, 20 automobiles or 100 computers. And let's compare it to our trading partner, Japan. And they can either produce in one given year 10 automobiles or 200 computers. Taking a look at this right away, you can see that there's definitely an absolute advantage at play here. Canada and its numbers of automobiles versus computers versus Japan and its numbers. Canada can produce in a given year 20 automobiles and 100 computers. Japan 10 automobiles and 200 computers. Can you see the advantage at play here? I think you can. And so opportunity cost is calculated by bringing one number under the other number. And therefore we're left with the fraction.
Compare the opportunity cost. For car, for Japan it will be 1/5 to produce one computer and 120 to produce one computer. So the cost of manufacturing car is cheaper for which nation? Canada or Japan? The cost of manufacturing 1/5 of the car is equal to 1 computer. Actually, this video is going very fast and there is some problem with it. I just couldn't stop it.
Over 1 computers for Canada. For Japan, it costs 20 over 1 or 20 computers to produce 1 automobile. So it costs Japan a lot more computers to produce 1 automobile. And therefore, through looking at these opportunity costs of 5 and 1/20th, we can definitely say that Canada should focus on producing automobiles while Japan should focus on producing computers.
Now Canada is going to manufacture car because it can manufacture. There is some problem.
Not so easy sometimes, and therefore comparative advantage plays a role now. And this is the other scenario that plays out regarding trade.
Definition for the basis of comparative advantage is the lower opportunity cost. Now there are 2 nations, Canada and Nigeria. Now let us compare them. I know Muhammad and Shizi, what I'll do is I'll share the
Producing
link.
all goods than the other country. But as a famous economist once said, David Ricardo, that through comparative advantage, countries can find a dancing partner. Well, he didn't exactly say that, but you know, you get the idea. And so let's take a look now with 2 countries. Again, Canada, same statistics. They can produce 20 automobiles or 100 computers. But now instead of developed country like Japan, we have Niger. And instead of producing all those automobiles and all those computers like Japan did, Niger can only produce 5 automobiles or 40 computers in a year. From looking at this, it looks like Canada has an advantage in both.
I'll send the link to you there. Just write it in the chat box. And so now the class is about to be over. And I know it's a very theoretical class, so it's a bit boring, but you know, it is this way. When we go to the other parts of the other parts of the business law, like the laws of business, then it's going to be interesting. When we will cover one and one act of goods of exchange, bills of exchange, goods of sale, that all will be make it interesting. Okay, so now don't forget to mention your feedback at the end of the class, and we'll meet in the next class. Next class is on Thursday, next Thursday, your class. Okay, so be on time, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. 8:30 or 9:30, I'm not sure about that, but just check the timings and be there for the class. Okay, all right. Don't forget to mention your feedback. Bye everybody. Enjoy your upcoming weekend. Please give your feedback and be on time in the next class. Okay? Alright, now Anup Chiria is entering the class right now. Anup, the class is about to be over now.